An undercurrent of hatred for disco.
In a few minutes,
if you also contributed an album.
We're diving back into the world of disco. I've been appreciating this era of music, especially for Donna Summer. The world of disco and other shades of dance music has always been some of my favorite music ever. That's why today I'll be talking about two classic disco records, Bad Girls and Off the Wall. It's quite literally the peak of him exploring this genre, as this was the first time he actually collaborated with Quincy Jones. The same could be said about Donna Summer with Giorgio Moroder, as this was the last time she collaborated with him on this project. Since Donna Summer is quite literally the queen of disco, it's going to be interesting how Off the Wall performs against it. Before I get into this video, it's important to note where disco was by this point in music history, especially because both albums by MJ and Donna Summer were quite possibly the peak of the genre. By this point, disco had reached its commercial peak in the US, having exploded from its underground roots in the early to mid 1970s into a dominant cultural force. This was often frequented by African American, Latino, and gay communities. Disco blended elements of funk, soul, Latin rhythms with a steady 4-on-the-floor beat, orchestral strings, and extended dance mixes it designed for clubs rather than the radio. While it did create some disco hits, there was the disco sucks movement. There was a strong backlash built among some rock fans, because of course it was, particularly young white working class or suburban men who saw disco as repetitive, commercial, shallow, overly associated with gay culture, black, Latino artists, and urban nightlife. So to put it simply, disco had a sharp decline after its commercial peak. With that out of the way, let's get into these two records. While I could tell you which album is the better in another video, if not in this video, both records are filled with highlights, some of the biggest disco hits of that era. As much as I do believe that Off the Wall was a disco record to end all disco, I think two legends can coexist in the same era. Who doesn't know about Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Hot Stuff? For these artists, one of the most iconic songs, and for good reason. The amazing guitar solo on the back end and the Sidley melody on the chorus is mind-blowing on Hot Stuff. In Michael's case, that breakdown is insane with the electric guitar solo, the horns, and the strings, making for an amazing opener. After going back to both records, I forgot how many bangers there was. Bad Girls is literally peak disco. I love the refrain in the beginning and towards the end, and the breakdown of the track. The vocal break is mesmerizing, and the fantastic build that takes off from there. Rock With You is an amazing romantic jam. I love the flute after the bridge on the song and the snaps on the chorus. Can't Get to Sleep Tonight is another song that I enjoy because of the background vocals, piano passages, and especially for that squelchy guitar-like solo. Off the Wall sounds like Michael is feeling himself on the chorus, and the bridge is fantastic with the subtle horns, and there's killer guitar playing on the verses. Both have incredible highlights as far as their best songs on these records, but only time will tell whether or not I think one is better than the other. The deep cuts are more of the unknown tracks than the rest on these projects, and I think there are some gems from both. Firstly, I think some of the deep cuts on Off the Wall is where it gets shaky. Now stay with me here. I think Girlfriend and It's a Falling in Love are a bit weird to me. However, I do enjoy the refrain on the last leg of Girlfriend. Wait, where have I heard that refrain before? That explains that influence. It's the Falling in Love has a great chorus. It's truly the only thing interesting about it, especially on the back end. I Can't Help It is a smooth piece of jazz and soul. Burn This Disco Out is an amazing closer. And Get on the Floor, what about that one? Can I Commit a War Crime? The deep cuts from Bad Girls can also get a little shaky too. My Baby Understands feels like it's filling in the track list just for the sake of it. However, I still think it's a bop. I feel it's that same way about Sunset People too. How was Journey to the Center of Your Heart not a single on this record? The guitar riffs and synthly melody in the beginning, like, it's such an eargasm. Walk Away is an incredible song, especially when it busts into the chorus. So I guess I would prefer Bad Girls in its deep cuts, as they are a bit more interesting throughout the songs themselves. Now this is probably going to be, might be the longest section of the video, who knows, because they're both talented singers. Now we're gonna have to talk about some of the ballads quite a bit. So for Off the Wall, She's Out of My Life is like the only really like, full ballad for me on this record. And it's a heartbreaking song about a breakup. And it's a somber tune, and it definitely got me in my feels. It still does. Vocally, he's on point. I guess the one part I would have to he delivers that one part, but it still gets the job done. Bad Girls has multiple ballads, but I will only mention On My Honor. Now, I was absolutely floored. Now, if you've seen my Bad Girls video, I definitely express this sentiment still. Like, the emotional heft on this song, especially on that chorus, is fucking mind-blowing. The vocal belt on that last part of the song is incredible. It feels so much better than what Michael did on the last track of his song that I mentioned earlier. I would say that both have incredible vocal talent and put a lot of energy into these tracks. I don't think I would go on to the next section on this video without mentioning Dim All the Lights. Vocally speaking, she has amazing breath and vocal control. Again, I mentioned this in my Bad Girls video. You should go check that out. I'm specifically talking about when it dives into that disco groove, especially after when she holds a note for about 16 seconds. Again, both are incredibly and talented singers. However, I think Donna Summer gets the nod for me because of that last track I mentioned.
It's Indianapolis, and Quincy Jones.
I guess this section is more of like Giorgio Moroder versus Quincy Jones part of the video, as they were like, responsible for a lot of the production on both records, respectively. I will say that Michael, by this point, working with Quincy Jones was the first time they are actually collaborating, and it actually did open up new musical possibilities. I will give Off the Wall some grace because it was the first time Michael worked with Quincy Jones on a full album together. This album has come out with some of his best hits in disco, obviously we have mentioned that, while also exploring R&B, pop, soul, and a bit of jazz, funk. No, it's produced incredibly well. And it showed that Michael was not only able to work in this lane, but also be successful in it. Compared to Giorgio, it's almost next to nothing. Giorgio has been working with Donna Summer since 1974, and it wasn't until 1975 that the sound of disco came into play, which is something Giorgio pioneered. So he's worked with Donna Summer on numerous projects, and Bad Girls, I think it was his best produced album from him. The album consists of not only disco, but also of rock, soul, pop, funk, and new wave. That was like hottest thing on the fucking market. It's incredibly produced, as well as it was one hell of a way to go out in the 1970s. Now we're at the last section of the video in this discussion. I want to make this clear before I speak on which album I think is better than the other. Both are fantastic disco records, and I think they made the most of the genre when it was at its peak by this point in music history. Musically speaking, Donna Summer is no Michael Jackson when it comes to, I guess, catalog. But if we're just talking about disco, Michael Jackson is no Donna Summer, which is why I think Bad Girls is the better disco album. Hold the fuck on, hear me out. I know diehard MJ fans are gonna kill me for this. Off the Wall is easily one of the greatest disco albums of all time, if not just a top 3 disco album, and it was a kickstarter to the mastery that will come years later with Thriller down the road. For Bad Girls, it has incredible versatility in fusing genres together on some tracks. Giorgio's production to me was its leaps and bounds better than Quincy Jones' production on Off the Wall. I would say that a lot of other artists were riding the wave, while Donna Summer was quite literally the wave in disco. I guess you could say that about how she rode the wave in new wave and rock music. However, I think she was still able to put out her own spin on it. While MJ is the king of pop, Donna Summer is the queen of disco, which in this helps her case. That could also speak on how versatile Michael Jackson is too. That's gonna be it for today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed. Please remember that this is all just my opinion, and I was able to give y'all some substance on each section. Tell me in the comments which album you think is better, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.